is Roosevelt Sears. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and I was raised in Brooklyn. I was in Brownsville in the early '70s. Then I moved from Brownsville. I moved to Crown Heights, Brooklyn, on Utica and Rochester. Then from Utica and Rochester, I moved back to Brownsville in the late '70s. I'm from Tilden Projects, and all the projects that's in Brownsville around Tilden is Van Dyke, Langston Hughes, Riverdale Towers, um, Noble Drew Ali, Glenmore, Howard. Those are the projects that's in Brownsville. I grew up in a single family home with three sisters and me, and I was the youngest. I went to PS 398, and then from 398 I went to 175, and then from PS 175 I went to junior high school 275. Then from junior high school 275 I went to Eli Whitney High School. When I was a kid, I was just doing kid things, playing, running around, playing with other kids, had my big wheels, playing Skelly, you know, just being a kid. And from there, I came into my teenage age, and then from there, I was going to school, a student, you know, until I met a few guys and started playing basketball in the school, and then after that starts cutting school, going to school when I want to go, going to classes, not going to all my classes, So things wasn't great, but it was all right. I see my friends, he was smoking a little weed, you know, telling me, let's go to the movies, let's go to the park and play basketball, you know. And at the time, we should have been in school, and we wasn't in school. We was out in the park playing, going to arcades, playing arcade games, not going to school like we should be. My teacher and the principal was calling my house and telling my mother that I was missing a couple of classes from I was missing classes. So when I go home, my mother asks me, and I tell her, "No, mom, I'm not missing classes. I'm going to class. The teachers, I don't know what's wrong, but the teachers, they lying. I'm going to class." He was like, "Well, so why are they calling me? If you go into class, they wouldn't be calling me." So, I guess I convinced her to the point, where she didn't question me anymore about why I'm not going to class. The first time I got in trouble with the police, that we was all shooting dice inside, our hallways in Tilden. And, we having fun with shooting dice. People was winning. And then all of a sudden the cops just busting. The housing authority cops just came through the back door. So everybody freeze. Yo, don't go nowhere. So, I try to run, and, cops snatched me up. So they arrested everybody and took everybody down to the precinct. And at that time, all of us was teenagers. We couldn't go anywhere, so we had to call our mother. So I was scared of calling my mother because I know how my mother was going to react to me being arrested and the cops calling her. So when I did, she said, "Well, I'll be down there in a little bit." And when she came down there, boy, it was hell. She kicked my butt from there all the way home. And she was just upset at me because she didn't know that I was actually in the building shooting dice. I got three uncles and I got three aunts, and that pretty much was in my life. So it was my uncles, her brothers lived down in Alabama, and her sisters lived throughout Brooklyn. So my uncles would come up every during the summertime and Christmas and Thanksgiving. My aunts used to come around all the time. I used to go to their house, talk to them and things of that nature. When I went to the precinct from shooting dice in the hallway, first thing they put us in a cell. They put all of us in the cell. It was like 10 of us. Put us in the cell. Then one by one, they was taking our fingerprints. And then from there, they gave each and every one of us a summons saying that we have to come to court. We had a court date. So and then after that, then we had to call our parents because all of us was, under that age that they couldn't release us by ourselves. So we have to call our parents. So as I said before, as when they called my parents, they called my mom. My mom came down and it was just all hell. She just whooped me, whooped me, whooped me, whooped me, and it was just total chaos for me because I never experienced being arrested before. So it was a little scary. You know what I'm saying? But I handled it a little bit. A little scared, but I didn't show that I was scared. After that, things just started getting a little antsy for me because now, I'm hanging with other guys, you know, not doing wrong, but don't want to go to school, always hanging out. We going over here, going to these different places, So I was feeling that was good for me. You know what I'm saying? I feel that I ain't had to go to school just for a couple of hours, and then I can go out and have fun. Live on that edge. Thinking that was right because I didn't really have that person to really like stand on me like, yo, this is what you're supposed to be doing. But I had my friends, they was telling me, yo, let's go do this. This is good. So I'm like, okay, let's go do this. We was smoking a little marijuana. We skipping school. We was going to the store, drinking sodas, not paying for, taking candy, running up and down Albee Square Mall, running up and down downtown Brooklyn, running through the parks, running through Manhattan, doing things that we ain't supposed to be doing, but we was thinking that was right. Uh, two of my friends and me was supposed to be going to Manhattan. So we get on the train. All of a sudden, this guy says, no, we ain't going. Let's get off on Saratoga. So when we get off on Saratoga, they see this guy. So they just start jumping on this dude. So I'm looking around like, yo, what are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? They was like, nah, shut up, yo. Help us. I'm like, help y'all for what? I'm not with that. So all of a sudden, I just heard pow. So I'm looking and I see the dude drop, and they took off. So I'm like, oh snap, that's crazy. So I took off. You know what I'm saying? I ran. I said, man, listen, I gotta go because I don't want to be a part of this. You know what I'm saying? So I ran. So we took off. So I didn't think nothing of it. Next day it was that was like a Sunday. No, matter of fact, a Saturday. Sunday, my normal day. Monday I goes to work. So when I'm at work, uh, I get a call. A call came in to my boss. So my boss calls me in afterwards and says, yo, a detective called saying that he need to see you. He need to talk to you. So at that time, I picked up the phone because she had him on hold. I picked up the phone and I spoke. I don't know, I forgot the detective name, but he's like, yo, I need to talk to you. I said, you need to talk to me for what? He said, well, just come down and we'll talk. So at that time, I was like, oh snap. I'm not going down to no precinct. You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm not going no precinct. But then when I went home, but prior to that Monday, I was hearing stuff on the street. Guys around my way were saying, yo, I heard y'all shot this guy, all this stuff. So I'm like, I ain't do nothing. I don't know what y'all talking about. But then that's when I went to work and I got the call. So when I came home, I seen the detectives in the parking lot. So I'm like, yo, they parked in the parking lot, look like they coming from out my building. So I said, let me wait. So as I'm waiting, the detectives came out my building. So then I really got scared. So I got mad nervous. So they left. So I ran upstairs. My mother was like, boy, what did you do? Out of line, they saying you killed somebody. Out of line. So I'm telling my mom, I didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? She said, you had to know something. I was like, yeah, but Mom, I was with these guys, but I didn't do anything. You know what I'm saying? She said, well, you got, I said, Mom, I'm not going down there. Nah, I'm not. So I packed up a few things and I went to a friend's house. So as I went to the friend's house, I stayed there for 2. I didn't even go back to work. You know, I stayed in my friend's house for 3 weeks. So I said, you know what? Let me go see about my mother one day. So I went to go check up on my mother, and I happened to stay the night. So as I stayed the night, my aunt stayed the night over there with us. So next thing I knew, I heard my room door bust open, and it was like 7 officers around my bed, you know, saying that I am you're being arrested for the murder of such and such and such and such. And you know, my mom's was there. My mom's was crying. You know, everything was just total chaos. You know, and it was just, I was just, I was just blown away because I just knew that I wasn't coming home. Once they put the cuffs on me, I just knew that I was not coming home. At the time of my arrest, I was 21 years old. The person who got killed was, I say, around over 40. And you know, it was a sad day because I just like I said, I just knew I wasn't coming home. Mm-hmm. But they took me to the precinct. I was in a holding pen for say about 10 hours. I was in the precinct for 10 hours, 10, 12 hours, being questioned by the officers, asking me, do I know my 2 co-defendants? You know what I'm saying? So they showing me pictures, and I'm saying, I don't know these guys. I don't know what you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? You know, they said, well, you have to know these guys because these guys know you. So I'm looking at the cop like, how do they know me? I don't know them. You know what I'm saying? Well, they saying they know you. They saying you pulled the trigger. You know, you was the mastermind of this thing here of what's going on. And I was just stunned at the things that he was saying that my co-defendants was saying about me. And it was just, I was just blown away. I started crying. I was telling the cop I want to see my mom's, and they wouldn't let me see my mother. So that's what I said. They questioning me again and again and again, asking me the same old questions. And I'm giving them the same old answers that I don't know these 2 guys. I was charged with 2 counts of murder, 2 counts of robbery, 2 counts of weapon possession, reckless endangerment. That was my charges. When you get arraigned, they just bulk up. They just give you a whole bunch of charges. So, but when you go back to court, they just break all the charges back down because that's what they did. Mm-hmm. Once I got arraigned, and then I went back to court, I was charged for felony murder, which is attempted robbery and murder and robbery. Mm-hmm. They didn't charge me with no weapon. They didn't charge me with anything because if you go to trial, they don't have to charge you. You don't have to go to trial for the murder. You can go to trial for the robbery because you're guilty of the robbery. You're guilty of the murder. Mm-hmm. So those was my original charge. Those are the charges I was charged with, felony murder. But what happened was, me and my co-defendants, we was going back and forth to court. So one day I was on Rikers Island, and the correctional officer said, "Mr. Sears, you have emergency court date." I said, "Emergency court date? I don't go back to court until next month." He's like, "No, you're going back to court today. Get ready." So they drove me down. Drove me down the station wagon. They didn't even have a bus for me. They just drove me down the station wagon. So when I get to court, I see my lawyer. My lawyer said, "Listen, your co-defendants copped out to testify against you." And I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yes, your co-defendants copped out to testify against you, saying that you was the mastermind of this. You did all this. You pulled the trigger and everything." So I'm like, "This is impossible." He's like, "Yo," he showed me written statements that they wrote against me and everything. So at that time, I'm bluffing them because I don't want to go to trial. Because if I go to trial, I could either get 25 or 30 years to life for something I didn't do. So I'm figuring I can get a plea. In the process, they wanted me to take a plea to 15 to life. I told my lawyer I'm not copping out 15 to life. So We was getting ready to pick a jury, so they came up with 10 to 30. And I said, you know what? I better take it. Because if I don't take it, they not gonna have another plea for me, you know. So when I went back into the courtroom, my lawyer told the judge, Mr. Roosevelt Sears is taking a plea of the 10 to 30. I wound up taking my plea, which was 10 to 30. I wound up doing 21 years out of the or in my time, because 10 is my minimum and 30 is my max. So I CR'd, and my CR was 21 years. And you know, while in prison, it started off a little rough because at the time I told you I was 21. Um, I went I went up north in November of 1991, and it started off a little rough because I said I was fresh up north. I didn't know anything about prison, so I had to make that adjustment. And the first prison, well, the second prison I went to was Sing Sing, and I have seen so much crazy stuff in Sing Sing, from drinking, dudes shoot dope, dudes sniffing dope, smoking, you know, all type of stuff that was not normal in prison. And throughout my years, played a lot of basketball, played a lot of sports. I refereed basketball games in Clinton, Attica, Comstock, Elmira, all these prisons, Franklin, uh, Bear Hill, Hudson, Mid Orange, Sullivan, and and throughout my incarceration, the good was that you get to meet some good people in there. I met doctors in there. I met lawyers in there. Um, I met guys, man, that someone like me was didn't really do anything. They got all this time. Guys that was in prison for drug cases, 30 years. It was just it's mind-boggling how you see people and you think that jail is like this, and when you actually there and you get to witness and see and hear people's stories, you go, wow. It's like, it was a real experience for me. The beginning of my bed, I was like, I was mad at the world. When I say that, I was mad at everybody because I blame everybody for me being in prison, not understanding that no, you can't be mad at everybody. So I was on the verge of cracking, but as I was meeting older people and understanding who I was and understanding that I got myself in prison, that I can't be mad at the world. I can't crack because if I crack, then I ain't gonna be able to get out. And my goal was to get out, but not be the same person that I came in. But in the process too, in 2001, I lost my mother. So that really like put me in a real stupor. I didn't talk to anybody for like 6 months. That I didn't talk to nobody. I didn't go to program. I was just upset. Mad that I lost my mother. I didn't get the chance to, see my mother in her last days. I went to the funeral. It was nice.
Oh, they allowed you to go?
Yes, they allowed me to go to the funeral. But after that, after I came out of out of my stupor in the 6 months, I said, you know what? It's time. It's time to really like focus on my life, focus on getting out, focus on bettering myself. I was always into church. As a kid, I was going, and while I was in prison, I was really like going to different faiths. Going to Muslim services, going to Catholic services, going to Christian services. And a friend of mine, he's always telling me, come to service, man, come to service. So I came to service. I liked it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't go all the time. I went to every other Sunday. And he used to always tell me, "Come on, brother, come on, brother." I'm like, don't force anything on me. Just let me come on my own, because I feel if I come on my own, it'll be better for me, not for any other person telling me to come. Um, so I came. Just like I said, I used to go, but I was always the type of person who believed in God, always knowing that it was a higher power, and I know that he was willing to take care of me if I do the right thing. And during my incarceration, I felt that I did the right thing, to stay out of trouble, don't mess with people, just do what I need to do to get out, because it's not guaranteed that you're in prison that you're gonna come out. I say about maybe 30 people um, that passed away that I know that I got close to, because well, like with me, I was attracted to a lot of old timers. Why I was attracted to a lot of old timers is that how I carry myself. I always was quiet. I met a lot of people through playing basketball because I wasn't into meeting people. You know what I'm saying? Because after what my co-defendants and them did, I really felt that I couldn't really trust anyone. So I didn't really want to meet people. So I met people through sports, through playing basketball, playing baseball, playing football, reffing games. So I really um, had a thing for not meeting people. But through over the years, I met a lot of people and a lot of brothers that I met. They had 30 years in, 35 years in, 36 years in. These guys they became old men, and got sick and they had passed away. So that was kind of rough on me too. I was hit at 6 parole boards. Um, my first parole board, I said I knew I was gonna get out, but from my second on, I just knew that I was leaving. You know, because how the parole system works is that every 2 years you go to parole board. So I go to parole board. I went 2 years, 24 months, because they can hit you with 24 months or they can hit you with 1 year. And I was always getting 24, 24, 24. So when I got to uh, my fourth parole board, I said, you know what? They're not letting me go. I'm gonna have to CR. So my CR, your conditional release, which means they can't, they have to release you. They have to, unless you get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I had a CR. So they had to let me go. They had, so I wasn't even, I got to the point, my last parole board I went to, I really like went there to explain to them that they was wrong for not letting me go, but it was all right because I'm leaving anyway. And and it was a really happy day for me on January 11th, 2011, when I got released. I always said to myself, once I was coming to the end of my bid, I said to myself, I'm not going back to prison. I just can't do this. So I say maybe 7 months, maybe I say a year before I was going home, I really looked into this program called Ready, Will, and Able. That's in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and I really looked into the program. So I looked into it. I got information on it, and I said, you know what? This is the program for me. This is the program can jumpstart me because I don't want to go back to prison. I don't want to go back. I can't go back. So in the process, they had a seminar. Ready, Will, and Able was there. So I spoke to one of the coordinators, and he's like, "Yo, when you get out, just what I'm saying, just have your parole officer recommend the program, and we'll see what we can do." And in the process, when I got out, a month later, I had my parole officer to uh, grant me permission to go to see about the program. And when I went to go see about the program, they let me in. So I just took advantage of all the free things they had: computers, driver's license, OSHA card, maintenance, everything that I can take, I did it. because I didn't want to go back to prison. I feel that 21 years was enough for me. They had showed me that the prison system showed me that they will keep you in there until you old and gray. And no, you're not going to keep me into old and gray. So I made up my mind and saying that I'm going to change my life and to be an example for other people, that see me, that knows me, that would see me and say, "Wow, this is what he's doing." One thing I understand and I know now is that, just like I said, I'm not going back to prison. I can't. And through Ready, Willing, and Able, um, they had interviews at Emmanuel Baptist Church. So the funny thing about that is that when my job developer told us about the interviews, it was four of us, and I told the four guys, "Yo, don't even go to the interview." So they looked at me like, "What do you mean don't go to the interview?" And I said, "It's like what I said, don't go to the interview because that's my job." So they was like, "What do you mean that's your job?" I said, "That's my job." "Well, you know people there?" I said, "Bro, I don't even know where the church at." But that comes from being so confident that I'm, being confident about getting this job. Knowing that I'm gonna get this job because this, like I said, number one, I don't want to go back to prison. I don't like prison. So those was it was a that was the thing for me, and getting the job, and that was it. I just took off after that. EBC Emmanuel Baptist Church have been a big help for me because so many people there has the resources to help you, and they was behind me 100%. Our senior pastor, Reverend Trufant, uh, Reverend Sharika, all the deacons, all the senior staff, they was behind me 100%, and they seen that I was hungry. They seen that I was about doing the right thing. Being there, and it showed me that um, being there will help me stay on the right path because people there ain't gonna let you stray away. People gonna let you know, listen, you ain't doing this. Do this. And then with my family, my family support. You know, because you got to understand too, when people see you and they see you doing the right thing in today's society, they begin to dislike you. He gonna mess. He gonna go back to the streets in about a couple of months. And then when they see you in a couple of months, when they see that you still ain't going back to the streets, then they like, wow, give them a year. After the year comes 2 years. Then after two come three. Then they say, you know what, he ain't going back. So they just leave you alone. Mm-hmm. But EBC has been tremendously good to me, man. I can't thank them, man. If I'd had EBC, then I would have never been in the position that I was, in being incarcerated. But I always tell people, you can't take away the past. You can just learn from your past. One thing about me, I am not ashamed of my past. I'm not ashamed of letting people know that I was incarcerated because by telling your story or telling people why I was incarcerated, give hope to other people, and they see me and they see how my life is going, how being incarcerated has shaped me into the person that I am. I will always, always, always tell my story. I always tell people, don't be ashamed of your past. Never be ashamed. I will always let people know that I've been incarcerated because I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not out here hitting people in the head. I'm not doing that. I'm just out telling my story so other people can have the heart and the courage to give their story. Totally grateful for my second chance because when I came home, as I said, I went to Ready, Willing, Able, and after you have 9 months to complete the program, and then you got to go on job search, and I had 30 interviews. Nobody wanted to hire me, but I didn't get discouraged because I said, somebody gonna hire me, somebody gonna give me a second chance, and that's when I wound up going to EBC for a job, and they gave me a second chance. So I'm just so grateful and honored to be a part of EBC and their staff. So grateful. my second chance.